Welcome back. It's the CoEd edition, Birds with Feathers. Your girl AJ, it's Bird and Princess here. Welcoming back my CoEd as usual. What up, Eddie B?
Hey, what's going on? I'm good. It's Thursday. Yay, one more day to Friday.
Thursday. Thirsty Thursday. Definitely thirsty after getting some exercise today, finally, and getting out this house. But how you feeling?
Doing all right. I can't wait till the weekend. Need some rest.
Yeah, we
Uh,
both do. Well, I've gotten plenty of rest being unemployed right now, but at the same time, I needed to. But I know what the mental stream can do when you do have a
yeah.
job and when you don't. So, anyway,
Mhm.
all right, Eddie. So we're gonna basically touch a lot of small topics today, just because for the sake of just being in the flow of what's been going on the timelines. First, I just want to just talk about how we have now accepted the fact that the Sixers are out of it. We didn't really talk since the night before the elimination game. So,
Yeah.
how did you take everything that went down after we said that we would be pissed staying up late when it looked like they
Oh,
did?
you know what? I was tired and cranky because the game started at 9 o'clock, and I was like, oh God.
Like we said, we didn't want to be up that late unless they were planning on winning, and that's not how it went. So,
Yeah. And then a lot of things. And honestly, there's not many that I'm mad at about this loss. I mean, I'm more. There's one player I'm mad at, and you know who I'm gonna say.
well,
I
his name has been shunned since the night of that game. So,
and I honestly, I hope this is the last time we see him in a Sixers jersey. So,
well, I think for
uh,
his sake, I think that's already decided. I think
yeah,
that's pretty much already decided. Even if they entertain coming back, he's going to have to be coming off the bench or in a lesser position because it really didn't
no,
make a difference. He didn't live up to what he was
waste
supposed.
of waste of money. Like they pay
It was a
him.
waste of money, but that was the front office. They took that gamble. So,
Yeah,
um,
well, he ended up being a max contract player, then but didn't have the. And all of a sudden, I just don't that part right there
yeah.
crazy. Like you had great like you had Buddy Hill come out and finally gave him a chance to play, and he fucking tore it up.
Which makes it more nerve wracking or more frustrating to knowing that it took that long for him to get even comfortable shooting the ball because he wasn't doing it the whole series. And so for him to light it up in game 6, it was like, all right, that
Well,
should
you
have
got to look at yeah. You also got to look at his playing time in the other games too. Like, how you gonna you can't develop a rhythm when you're only playing like 2 minutes or a minute.
I mean,
You
yeah,
know,
hence the reason why he was saying like if he had had more playing time. Now we don't know what's going to happen.
I think they should bring him back. Honestly, I
I
mean
mean, if he if yeah,
the upside with him is that you can see that he will. He's not afraid to shoot. I don't know what happened with Tobias. Tobias just became the invisible man.
every
Ah,
single playoff year when it got. I mean, imagine had this been the second round again, like it would have been just as frustrating because
he's like that
every
meme of Homer Simpson, like disappearing into the bushes. Like,
yeah, it just
like,
seems like at the moments that he probably could have been a factor, and the fact that they lost like by such a slim margin is what makes it more nerve wracking, more annoying, because every game should have just been a blowout if it was going to be like that.
yeah,
You
like he's your starter, and he can't even get a point. Like,
he got
or
0 points,
even
but 15 assists.
yeah. But the thing is, like, come on, give me 10 points at least. Like, you
He
gotta
should
be
have at
able.
least double digits. I don't care. Every game he should have at least
If
gotten
he put if
10.
he puts up 10 points in each of those games, we actually win. You know,
No,
like,
and we said already that this is stuff we've already said, but it's just frustrating to see the same result. Now, I want also Kelly Oubre to come back because I think Kelly helped a lot
yeah.
into the bucket. I think he was a defense. His defense could be a little worked on, but um, I just don't see a reason for him not to come back. I'm even fine with even bringing Booty back if Booty want to come back for one more year.
Oh yeah, he's good to have. I mean,
He
he's good
definitely
to
was a
have.
floor general. He was a floor general more than Maxi
Yeah,
was. Maxi was too busy trying to get to the bucket.
I like the attitude too. He showed some fire, so that's what I like to see.
He's
You
a
know,
veteran. Yeah, he's a veteran. I don't know if you've paid attention to how their salary, as much as like, Eagles fans obsess over the salary cap stuff. I don't know how it works in the NBA, but I would hope that the Sixers would at least try to keep some continuity because if that's one thing that I got from the post game presser the next day was that Embiid, just like Jalen Hurts, have always had constant change every year, and he needs some
Mhm.
continuity. So it's obvious that him and Maxey are going to be the factors as to how they build this team.
I
So
say get. I want to see campaign there next year, and I want to
I wouldn't mind
see,
campaign back either. Yeah,
and I want council back too.
Council is just getting started, so they'd be dumb to let him go somewhere
And
else.
and honestly, and I want Melton off the bench. I mean, I want Danny Melton off the bench.
Hmm.
Healthy. I mean, look, he wasn't healthy. And that's why. Hey, look, he shows more fire than the starters do. So I mean, I
I
want
agree, and I have a huge crush on Melton. First of all, so if he comes back, I would not be mad. But the fact that his back became such an issue, I just want to. I'm with Tyrone saying like he needed a backiotomy. He should have
him
got
back
that
out of me.
backiotomy sooner. Because I mean, when he airballed a lot more than he hit, but I have to admit that he wasn't afraid to shoot. So that's something. I just feel like obviously the only person that was a glaring issue was Tobias, and which is a shame because when he got on the team, he wasn't as much of a liability as he became. So I just
Hmm.
if maybe that became with age, came with his physicality, because his defense turned up 2 years ago. So I don't know what the hell happened there either. I don't know if his just body is just starting to give out with all because the Knicks were mad physical. They're still physical now with the Pacers.
Man,
So
I swear that.
but I swear they stole already 2 games, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I'm not to be a
And
hater. They
apparently
stole
there
the
was some
last
more
game.
controversial stuff going on with that
Yep.
series,
Yep.
and it leads me to believe a lot of things about like if this is what the league wants right now.
Yeah,
Is the
no. I
Knicks
mean, this is the stuff that
is the
bites
Knicks
into those controversies. Yes, that the refs sometimes bet on certain teams they want in the what do they call them? I forget what the final round is called. Finals. Because you can't tell me that some of the stuff that everyone's still complaining about, even with our series, now you had the freaking Indiana Pacers coach ejected because he saw the BS coming a mile away. And now they have all these complaints about the calls that were missed. You know?
Yep. Yeah, did you listen to that essentially that whistleblower thing too?
Yeah, I didn't listen to it yet, but I will peep it
That
after I get out the shower.
that
But
is crazy. Like
I'm
somebody
sure
else
it'll go ahead.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Somebody else put me on to that and it's like the simple fact is like how the betting works and like
Mm-hmm.
how what the refs can do and it's crazy.
How they
Like
can influence a game.
about garbage points at the end with the fouls like there's a clear like there actually is well we'll talk about that later. Well, once you listen to it, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we will, because I think that should be a separate pod because we'll talk about that because this is the reason why too that a lot of us fans get on that whole, especially on social media. Conspiracy theories will bloom after a game is obviously blown. But I'm sorry, you have to get to the point where you have to wonder why that whole Tim Donaghy thing became a thing. Because some stuff just seems so classically flawed that could easily be made up, in the same game and not after. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That it festers how a whole game can go. I mean, like you said, technically that series should have been tied with the Sixers, really. You know,
Yeah.
we'll never know,
Well,
obviously. It's over.
yeah, we won't. So, but yeah, but
Okay.
hey, moving on. How about those Phils, huh?
That's what I'm saying. That thank you. Good segue. I think at this point now, the Phillies pretty much have every reason to be a little tired from whooping ass like they've been every
Yeah, right.
series. Um,
Yeah, they
even
lost
with
their
the
first game, what, in 10 the other day? Yeah,
yeah, with Toronto. Or was it Toronto?
it was
Yeah,
Toronto.
they just played Toronto. I mean, honestly, you can tell they're in the zone, even without Trey in the lineup. They're looking pretty solid. Um,
Hey, Cody Clemens came up and like shown why he wants to stay for a little bit. So
big
he came
at
up
the
pleading
right
his
time.
he's pleading his case to stay when Turner comes back too. Like
Well, this is a good thing because the Phillies are actually number one for once. They haven't been number one in the standings in like at
not this
least,
time of year, no,
yeah,
never.
this time of year they never were number one. So that's a good sign for postseason hopes. So good.
I haven't seen that since wow. Back the Cruck and Dalton team back in spring of was it 94?
Oh wow, you going back?
I'm saying, but that's the last time I saw them actually they were like in the driver's seat and actually in early and actually dictating what's
early in
going
the
on.
season.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see what you're saying. Because I feel like any other years that I've remembered, they've had to kind of chug their way up to the top. But it's always been
Had
what
a
the Braves.
couple. Um, maybe in Robert Ryan Howard's era, they had maybe one season like that.
Yeah,
But
they had to have. Yeah, I know they had within the last
yeah,
10 years
but
had
they were just
started.
dominant that year with
Yeah,
Darren Dalton, Dykstra, and all those guys. And that's when they were up like 15 games by the time the summer hit, and which was crazy.
and they could very much do that now, if not more, because right now they're already starting off with Bryce is in his flow finally because he hit another grand slam, which I didn't see that crap coming at all. I couldn't believe
Mhm.
that. And then you just see a lot of consistency with the pitching. I mean, Nola still had last outing, but like I said,
Yeah,
the one thing about Nola is that he's going to be extremely remarkable one series and then flat out,
he's a
but
slow starter too. Sometimes he'll settle in. I think he'll settle in. He's not. I mean, he's not alarmingly bad yet. So
no, he's not. But I hate the fact that he could be if he's tired enough. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
that's really what I always had about him that I can't stand is that you never know when he's going to have like the Tucker series that might help them get over the hump, and that's when he
Mhm.
decides to crap out. But I don't know. Santana had a good outing for once because he had the support obviously from that game, um,
Mhm.
and it's good to see Ranger. I mean, his streak finally
No,
broke, but he was smoking hot.
Ranger being Ranger, right?
Danger Ranger. Ranger was definitely very, very, very dependable and very reliable. Not that we didn't see that coming, but and then obviously, what is his name? The redhead pitcher that's coming up, Thornbull,
You talking about Turnbull? Turnbull
Turnbull. Turn.
didn't he sitting out for a minute? Was he injured?
I don't know, but they used him toward the end of the second to last game, right, to close it. So
Yeah, I mean, they're
they
trying to
gave him a
slowly
little post
work him
game.
in, slowly work
Yeah,
him back in. Yeah.
yeah, because he might have maybe that's why he was so frustrated on last week's series because he had to get out early. But he's looking very promising. Obviously,
Mhm.
you see our boy Orion in there every now and then closing and helping out with closing, so that's good to see too. Because I still have faith in him since from the NL playoffs. They got 20, 50 million rounds. I forget the name of them, but the conference round or series round they were in. And I felt
Yeah.
like even though he was thrown in when him being young, but I thought that was promising to know that they even had that much confidence, even though they were desperate to put him in.
Mhm.
So I feel like he could between him and Alvarado, you never know that he could turn out to be the guy that kind of helps bring that extra arm when they're having a
Yeah, because
closer.
I don't know, we don't know what's gonna happen with Sir Anthony. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't.
we still discuss. We don't know. Like it's TBD. It seems like with him, but I feel like it's very disappointing, and I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
people say it. That he might have been a bust, but it's
all of a sudden this year he just
he's
like he
struggling.
forgot how to pitch. Like he forgot how to
He's
pitch all of a
struggling.
sudden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wonder if the surgery exacerbated whatever he thought was going to work better for him, and maybe it got worse, or maybe his conditioning is not working for him. I don't know. You'll never know that behind the scenes stuff until he's like off the team and it's a past story.
Mhm.
But right now, it just seems like he's a disappointment. Is there anybody else who shocked you so far with them being drafted?
Hoffman has been good. Coming out of
Hoffman
that
is
bullpen.
very dependable too, since from the
Yeah, I mean, coming out of the bullpen, he's been great. I'm like, wow.
and he's calm and he's a very
Yeah,
calm guy. That's good to
yeah.
know. So even when he's in a pressure situation, you don't see him like looking shaky, like
Losing.
like I'm just
Yeah,
gonna keep pitching. Like what can I do?
yeah.
Um, that's good to know. As far as the roster, let me see. I feel like what's very encouraging on top of the leadoff, as far as the leadoff, is that you had pointed out to me, and I didn't. I'm sad I didn't even notice it until after we talked about it. But Schwarber, his conditioning is obviously much better this year, and they were saying that a lot of the mobility training that he took over the season is really what's helped him run
Yeah,
bases. Because
he's hitting for yeah,
he's saying for what? Go ahead.
he's hitting for contact. He's getting hits off of like he's playing small ball, like which I'm impressed with. Like so
Is that the biggest discipline you think that's really what probably left them hanging in the playoffs was that a lot of guys were so busy trying to get the home runs and not focusing on just
Yeah.
getting.
Well, yeah, and you tend to leave a lot of men. You're not playing small ball too. If you can't play small ball, you got you'll have an enemy leaving, and they've been stranding guys this year too. But they've actually, because Alec Boehm's been on a fucking tear.
Yo,
Like
you talking
he
about a
just
glow up.
ended.
He has made a major glow up this season already. So I'm
I
hoping that
mean,
carries.
last year he hit well too, but it's crazy how he started off fast this
But he
year.
fell off so hard. That's why we're praying that
Yeah.
I'm praying it's going to be consistent.
I mean, 100 RBIs last year was good. Imagine what he's gonna try. Imagine what he's gonna put out this year if he's already starting off like
Because it's the
the way
confidence
he
he needs
has.
to know that because every like we all like most of us fans complained early on in the season when we thought it was going to start off being a hot mess, and it suddenly everybody started to find contact.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just
And
very encouraging to know.
yeah, and then like and a lot of and the good thing is we have a lot of key players like that can sub in like that are able to just come in and do well. Like we're slowly but surely getting production out of Rojas and like even
Yeah,
though I mean he's not here for his bat. And that's not why we bought him here. We bought him
for
up
the
because of his
field.
glove. Because of his glove, yeah,
Yeah,
not his bat. But
Stott is helpful, obviously.
and
Sosa,
Pache, he
Pache.
won a game for us, and Sosa was a steal. We got him. Everybody was like, "Why do we get this?" guy? And look at him, like he can play. He
Yeah,
can come in and play third base. He can come in and play. He comes in and plays. He can come and play shortstop. He can come in and do whatever's
yeah.
needed.
He's definitely helpful when he's a shortstop. Honestly, he can kind of split that gap from time to time, and it's very helpful and attentive. Um, Yeah, I mean, I'm very encouraged, and I'm not worried about Trey as much as probably people are bummed that he's out for probably the rest of
He'll
this.
be okay. Yeah, I
But
mean,
he'll be fine. I think he'll come in just when that lull starts to kick in, and he might be helpful when it really matters. I mean, I personally still think he needs to have a hamburger.
you want him to
He's
eat.
too, he's too thin to me. I
He's
just
too fast.
I worry about like say we get some tornado like winds one game and he's gonna fly away with the bat. Like I just want him to put some meat on him, just like Bryce. Like I just pack on some muscle, something. I just feel like he's so small. But maybe he can't. Maybe his metabolism's like,
That just is his
yeah,
body
just the
type.
way he
Yeah,
digests. I'm just a hater because I'm thick, so I can't like I hate all you fuckers who can't gain weight. Like you
yeah,
to take
right.
mine, put it in a jar and send it to
Like,
you.
ooh, I just looked at a picture of a burger. I gained a pound. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. I think about food and I wake up 5 pounds fatter. It's just ridiculous. Um, but no, they're very encouraging, and it's good to know that we could focus on them after the Sixers exited out. But um, and honestly, we can't say enough about how thankful we are that we still have a player like Embiid even lasting as long as he has, because yeah, as you see, the injury bug almost took him away again, and his face froze. So
Yeah, I
you
mean
know,
that's what else can you ask? What else can you ask from him? I mean,
right?
he's in there, but had paralyzed face, and he's putting up 30 points a night still.
Not even
Like
trying. Yeah, not
not
even really
not
trying.
like at 75% or less, and he's still putting up 30 something points. Like the one game, he had like the team he had what all like 15 points to start off the game for anybody
In the
else.
first quarter.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, ain't nobody else scored yet, and he's the only one scoring. I'm like, wow.
And when the PR team gets a hold of all his best buckets this year on top of that 70-point game, they're definitely going to include that basket where he flipped and still went in the basket. I still can't believe that play because he wasn't even trying. He was pissed he didn't
That
get
was
fouled. Meanwhile, he got a bucket. I'm like, did he even notice that went in? Like, I can't tell you how
mm,
many times that's happened, which proves to me that he is so used to knowing where his hands, where his
his
throws
body
and arch
control.
is
Yeah,
supposed to be right.
yeah,
So it's like, it's amazing when he hits baskets he don't even mean to hit. Like, it's just
and that's
amazing.
not fair. That's not fair when a guy his size can shoot like that.
Well, and that's why people get frustrated with him because I understand, especially when he's injured every playoff game, that it is most important for him to stay under the basket just because of that limitation. If it's always
Mm.
a leg or a knee, I feel like that's where he was most important to be under the basket, more close to the basket. But I felt like he split the difference a little bit more because I think he was hearing some of that criticism and realizing like I can't always be the perimeter guy when this is. But if nobody's shooting, if people get cold, what was he supposed to do? Because even when Maxey got cold, it's like,
Hmm.
if he's the guy who just all he got to do is stand right on the arch and just hit it, like he's going to do it because he's used to at this point being the guy who had to be both sides because sometimes his team didn't deliver. So
Yeah.
I'm just ending that portion of this pod to say I'm very thankful to have somebody Embiid as much as I've been frustrated with his injuries, as much as I'm sure, been frustrated. And
Oh
today,
yeah.
this year was the first year we actually got to hear him finally. I think it was Keith Pompey gave him the chance to really vent about how he's aware that every year it's something, and he
Mhm.
knows that everyone's lost faith in him, but he has to care about himself. He has to worry about himself and his family. And the stress of not being able to get back when he wanted to after surgery is even more
Mhm.
stressful. He missed like 30 something games. So you have to realize, like, as a fan, it's frustrating, but you have to be thankful because not only did he finally get a 70-point game, but he also finally got MVP the year before. So it's sad
Yeah.
that this part of his career it takes for him to finally get like the
Mm.
rewards, but we know what the ultimate reward would be if that
No, we
doesn't
know what he
happen.
wants. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He don't care about any of those stuff anymore. He wants a ring. That's what he wants.
I mean, at this point, seeing Joker get MVP again, do you really think the MVP matters anymore? No.
They give it to
Because
him. It's like they just give it to him all the time. Somebody else should get it.
I think
But
half the league like just gives it to him because they just get either that or they forgot that the other nominees were in there because everyone thinks that really it should have went to Shy. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but SGA. Like they thought it should have
mm,
went him, and whatever. MVP to me means nothing after a while once Embiid finally got it because I always feel like that stuff is just it's based on regular season, and by the
mm,
playoffs, everyone's forgotten most of the regular season, so they're really thinking about it now. So sometimes that doesn't apply to the postseason because we sure don't see Jokic form right now in the playoffs. They getting their asses beat.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it clearly doesn't.
And then when B gets it as a center, it's like he's playing the center position, which
A center
is
who can do a lot of stuff even when
yeah,
healthy.
who
So
could actually easily switch to power forward. And
which is what he's had to do, which is
yeah,
sad because we're supposed to have that a power forward, but
yeah,
whatever. But going on between him, I'm just saying, just be thankful for Embiid and Maxey while we have him, because when it becomes Maxey's team, it's going to be a whole new process. So just be thankful, fans. All right, moving on to the controversy, not controversy, to the obvious rehashing of the old shit that we're reliving right now with podcasts between DeSean and LeSean, who we know feel gypped of their closure of their Eagles careers the way it should
well,
have
and,
really
and
ended.
and they have every right to feel the way they do.
And no one is blaming them for their angst. I mean, I saw some people on Twitter mad because we're talking about it again, but I'm like, they never got
Uh,
a chance to say their part.
well, yeah, well, especially after hearing what I heard, like
Yeah, same. I was walking, listening to
because
it, going,
because we never heard the actual details of everything. It was just
right,
like, oh, okay, this is what happened here.
right.
But the way, like, to hear Shady and them talk about, like, Shady and DeSean talk about, like, how it went down and, like, all of a sudden, and why and it just showed you a lot of how Chip Kelly was when he didn't, how he couldn't talk to black players or anything. And even the white players on the team
Which
were just,
I have to disregard though, not to cut you off, but just because I forgot that Josh Huff was a Black Oregon player, so that can't really
yeah,
work all the
but
time.
that's
But
the only reason why, you know, but the thing is, when he transferred to the NFL, he couldn't. They said he still couldn't talk to like a lot of his players, but I guess Huff was different because he was with him all that
that's what I'm
time.
saying. Yeah, I think that's the
I
only
was
reason
there.
why he separated him
Yeah,
from players. Yeah,
and he gave them different, like, gave them more opportunities because of them coming from Oregon.
which
Yeah,
was a
because
big freaking mistake because you see what happened.
yeah, I mean, we don't talk about those years are just like,
Blur.
but
That
it's
that
just
year's a
crazy,
blur.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and the fact that all of a sudden he just traded Shady for nothing. Kiko fucking Alonso, like,
Nico Alonso and his half shirt and his no
and
playing,
nothing and nothing else, like
nothing
nothing else.
else, which is a total insult.
Did you hear what he said when he was like, Shady was like, it was the Bills, like, pretty much they told him what happened, and he was like, Kiko, what else? What else do you want? And he was like, nothing. Okay, done.
And done easy. He said that Rex Ryan was there at the time, and Rex Ryan said that he goes, "That was the fastest trade process I've ever had in my life,"
Oh yeah, when you
which
jump,
is
I would jump on.
insulting.
Yo, I would jump on it too. I don't blame the Bills though, because look,
No, no. At the time,
yeah,
no, of course. Why would you? That's your sleep is our game,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
I
not blaming
mean,
them. No.
DeSean too, only a week after he was released, found quickly. And every time he's correct, he came back and beat the Eagles' ass. Much deserved because it was
Yeah,
hard when he came here, and every time they could not stop him in the end zone. And I didn't want them to because I'm like, that's his redemption. You
yeah,
you came back on not only Washington, but who else was it? Um, Washington,
Kansas City,
Kansas City. Oh, that's right, he was Kansas City. He
because he
didn't
was in
play
Kansas
much
City
though,
and the Bills.
Kansas City, because LeSean went there too.
Yeah,
Um, LeSean didn't play much that time when he got there.
no,
He got a ring. Um, but yeah, DeSean came back and whooped our butts as that. And then I think when he was a Raider, I think he stole on us a couple times. So there's
but
another.
yeah,
He's been on
it's
three
sad
different.
that
It's sad that he had to finish most of the prime of his career in other teams because that energy was wasted. So that by the time he got back here in 2019 and had injury for most of the year, we didn't even really
yeah,
get to see him finish his
he
run.
didn't want to go anywhere. He even said he was like, look, my home. He's like, my home's an hour away. My house is an hour away from here. He's
Yeah, shit.
like, he's just like, yeah. He's like, all of a sudden he's being traded all because this guy doesn't like him. Like,
And just so y'all know, just because I didn't clarify it clearly enough, but 2510 is the podcast we're discussing with DeSean and LeSean that they started this year. And this was the episode that they've discussed pretty much all
came
their
out
feelings.
yesterday or today, this morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it debuted like today, and they probably recorded it like a week ago. But the point is, it's good for us Eagles fans to have closure because we know we didn't know enough information. We know how the Eagles kind of throw stuff under the bus. And if there's one person else, I hate to say it, but I'm blaming Lori because he allowed a lot of that shit to develop. And as much as
Well,
he
he
probably feels
gave him too
bad
much
about it,
power.
he
Well,
did.
he even said it. And
Yeah.
and Shady and Deshaun, they didn't hold anything against Laurie for all that because
No,
he didn't know this guy was going to become a tyrant all of a sudden.
he didn't
And
know, but the fact that he stepped in when it came down to them wanting to trade BG, but not the other two, is where I'm mad at Lori because I'm like, okay, you let the two best scoring, next to damn near all time scoring Eagles players go, but then you didn't want to trade BG. Now, mind you, that'd be even worse for BG because BG had pretty much gone for full circle now in his career to have seen a Super Bowl. So that was good on Lori to keep him, but
that
to
was
me, imagine what would have happened if you would just let them go through the growing pains and just
I,
stay here.
yeah. I also think that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back at that point because it was
Yeah,
like
he probably was like, "All right,
Lori
you're
was like,
pushing
"Oh,
it."
what the fuck? Like, hold up, like, what's going on now? Like, all of a sudden, now you want to get rid of this guy too?"
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of technicalities. I mean, of course, I'm going to get cut off here, and we'll discuss another portion of this. But I just want to end this by saying, for the most part, and tie it up, is saying that we know, in hindsight, easier said than done as to whether or not that whole situation could have ended better than it planned. I just know that if you make a Mike Vick cry, that's saying a lot about the way this guy conducted himself
yeah,
behind
and
this.
you also sullied somebody's reputation by saying they're in the gangs, and he wasn't in the gangs.
And blaming
And
all and we all know what's going on
had
Twitter, but we also know that some of those mainstream media journalists are really the ones behind that, and I'm sure
mhm,
are feeling like crap
yeah, well,
today
he talked
because
about
they
that
control.
too.
Yeah, and we
And
know who you are, ESP.
had his own mother looking at him like, "What's going on? What are you into?"
Yeah,
And
and
that's a shame.
and it just shows you how quick on social media you can look at things and just assume. And I'm guilty of doing it at times too. And who knows, around that time maybe I believed in it too because I was sick of them
But
starting
the
to look.
thing, but AJ, the crazy thing is, social media wasn't even that big then.
It wasn't,
So
but Twitter was
you
still in
know,
action, and that's how they pretty much
yeah.
got most people because that was at the height of Twitter and everyone
Imagine if
believed in
that.
everything that was tweeted.
Imagine if that was today.
Today we got so much smoke and mirrors. Yeah, that wouldn't have even happened. I think they would have had a lot of people protesting the day that
Yeah,
that was even proposed. They would have people rolling up in Novacare like, "Don't let DeSean go," and it would have been so much shit.
yeah,
And he would have
right.
appreciated it because I think, and that's why he said they knew to bring him back, even if some people were like, "Don't bring his old ass back," and I'm just like, no, he needs to close a chapter.
Hmm.
And we know it didn't work out because of injuries, but Hell, Jalen Hurts got to say that he threw a touchdown to DeSean in the end zone. So,
and it was pretty too.
and it was very good. It wasn't, and I think Wentz threw one to him too. So
Yeah, he got one from Wentz. He got
he
one
got
from
one from Wentz. So he got his share of both of the new breed of quarterbacks on top of what he remembers from when he was with
and
McNabb.
he got the. Didn't he get to retire? Didn't they retire him here too? Did he finish that out? Did that happen
They
yet
didn't
or no?
retire his number, but they gave him, the whole
His
ceremony.
retirement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole retirement treatment, but his number still remains. His number should be retired, but his number is still out there. Um, it's a shame we have so many Eagle Hall of Famers that we can't retire half the numbers because
Well, you can't.
there'll
Yeah,
be
well, you can't retire all your
we can't
numbers.
retire everybody. We can't retire Shady. We can't retire Brian Westbrook. That's how many guys we got here that are true legends, but they run out of numbers. And unfortunately, Shady and LeSean are two of those numbers that they constantly have in rotation. But we know
Yeah.
who the originals are, and
Mhm.
there's just something to be said about if you want to listen to the 2510, I recommend you listen to it today. Some people don't want to rehash that old era, but we have to know that the one year that they were special is all we got. No Super Bowl, but it was a fun ride, but it
I think it's
burned
worth a
out
listen.
very quickly.
Yep. Definitely worth a
So
listen. Gotta listen to these guys.
definitely listen to him because not only is it funny to hear LeSean talk about his reaction when he was traded, but to also hear DeSean talk about how now that he's 14 years removed from the situation, how mentally it messed with his head. And
Mhm.
you have to realize that DeSean is first of all, we got DeSean when he was a baby cub. So for him to
Mhm.
have thinking that most of his swagger, most of the way he carried himself was very West Coast, of course, but not only was homie starting his career just after his father passed, but you have to realize a lot of stuff DeSean says is just all show. It doesn't necessarily mean he's gang banging, you know.
No.
The most recent, with all the Kendrick and Drake stuff, they showed him crip walking, but I'm just like, that's just from his area. That has nothing to do with his.
Yeah, that's where he grew up.
That's where he grew up. Like he said, if that's the type of guys that went to school with you or didn't go to school with you, that's just who you. That doesn't mean he's guilty by association. And so,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
there's one thing we Philly people should know about media and social media is that a lot of this stuff is BS. And
Mhm.
the one thing I do regret as a fan is believing everything that was printed. And I've learned now that that team probably could have went further than we thought, but who knows? We'll never know. And
Yeah.
we have to realize too that Vic also was in the last years of his career, and his life was about redemption outside of jail. And the
Mhm.
fact that it started to work and it probably could have went further is the reason why Mike has become an entrepreneur outside of football to this day. So even though he went through that hell and unfortunately ever since that Meadowlands redemption game, we
Mhm.
haven't been able to really see anything more of Vic.
Yeah.
We know what he could have been. We know what he's been in Atlanta, and we also know that he is a perfect example of why you don't judge a book by its cover because you just never know. Everybody
Yep.
has a redemption story, and some of this stuff is bigger than football. And I'm thankful that we did experience the years we did with DeSean and LeSean because
Mhm.
they were truly blessings that probably would have been bigger than life had they stayed here and blew up. God forbid they get a Super Bowl. Them Negroes would have been. They would have probably had like entourages out the ass. So maybe it was a humbling way for them,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's a humble we wanted that early. We wanted them to be able to experience that, say, 2018 run, or had it been originally then, it probably would have been a, what, 2012, 2011 run.
Mhm. No,
You know,
thank God they had a coach like Andy though before
yeah,
that
they
other stuff.
experienced good and bad. So they
Yeah.
experienced good and bad, and they also experienced life outside of Philadelphia. So granted, it's never going to be Philly, and DeSean knows that. I'm just glad he got his licks when he could get back here. But um,
Mhm.
we love him. We love Shady. We'll always love G Jack. Thank you for the many memories that you did bring here, and we're glad
Oh
you all
yeah.
got to come back and retire with dignity. And we're just glad the Eagles made that up to you. So that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
But what before we end, Eddie, do you even care about this Drake Kendrick beef?
No, because you know what? It's all publicity grab. They're doing it just to make them get them more like publicity marketing and stuff like that. That's all it's for.
Well, who do you say
Yeah.
won? I say Kendrick won.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm never gonna give Drake credit for being a lyricist, for being a lyricist, because Kendrick will eat his lunch every time. So, I mean,
Well, I think everyone agrees that, to me, They're Not Like Us is pretty much a banger for being a diss record compared to all the ones that were put out. But I
even
thought it was fun.
even Chris Brown, when he went out to Quavo, I was like, God damn, like.
Chris Brown wasn't even supposed to be part of the conversation, and Chris Brown made a
But
case to
I'm
say,
sorry, I had to bring that up because that verse he put out against Quavo was insane.
I
And
heard enough of it to know. And he's rapped before, so it's not new to me. But when it was kind of like when everybody was trying to put their little,
but he can when he's backed into a corner, he can rap. So
we know Breezy got angst. Lord knows. He's a talented guy, just a little mixed up in the head.
yeah,
Um,
little, yeah,
who isn't, right? Get off the drugs.
yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, thanks for listening to Birds of a Feather. We out. We gonna be talking soon because
All right,
OTAs are kicking up, so stuff is starting to bubble, and we'll be here to talk about it in the next week or so. So, peace out, Eddie B. It's
later.
AJ Princess. Take care, Birds of a Feather. We out. Bye.
Bye.